special class. Let's have our special lecture in taxation. Okay, so what we did is we tried to replicate and reconstruct yung mga problems na lumabas in the recent board exam, and yun yung mga sasagot natin today. Alright? Now, objective dito is at least if ever may mga lumabas na long problems or mga situational problems in taxation, at least alam mo na yung approach kung paano sasagutan yung mga ganung types of problems. Okay? Now, disclaimer lang ha. Most likely, hindi ito yung mga exact questions na lalabas in the next board exam. Actually, medyo sure ako doon kasi historically, every board exam, nababago yung mga questions. Hindi usually nagre-recycle si Board of Accountancy. Okay? But then again, ang important is at least pag may lumabas sa ganitong types of problems, hindi na tayo mapapanik, okay? Hindi na kayo magugulat, kayang-kaya yung sagutan yan. Alright? Now, FYI, sa recent board exam, di ba yung taxation meron 70 items yan. Tama? Yung first 35 items, madali lang. No? Theory questions, short problems, so straight problems, so madali lang. Yung second half, yung next 35 items, doon na nahirapan yung mga students. Okay? Kasi may mga long problems and may mga situational problems. Again, yun yung mga sasagot natin today. Alright? Sige. Okay. Now, let's go to our handouts. Doon muna tayo sa problem number 1. And, ayan, so multiple questions. So, expect na may mga ganito sa board. So, isang set of given and then maraming tanong. Okay? Now, syempre, ang medyo risky dito is baka chain question siya. So, yung pag nagkamali ka sa 1, baka dire-diretso yung mali mo. Okay? So, dapat may ingat tayo. Alright? Sige. So, pag ganito class, again, check muna natin kung ano yung mga questions natin. Number 1, how much is the net income before charitable and other contributions? For this specific problem, actually lumabas to 2 years ago. No? So, nilagay ko na rin para sagutan pa rin natin siya. Okay, pag sabi mo net income, yun din basically yung taxable income. Okay, before charitable and other contributions. Okay, number 2, how much is the taxable income? Number 3, how much is the tax still due? Number 4, total final tax. And number 5, total tax expense. Okay. Let's go to the given for calendar year 2021. So, dun pa lang. 2021, ibig sabihin, create na yan. Alright? So, create. The net income per books after tax of RMC Corporation is 850,000 after considering among others. So, pag sinabing net income per books, ito yung accounting income. Alright? After considering. So, ibig sabihin, na-consider na yung, na-reflect na-incorporate na yung mga items na binigay sa atin. Alright? Now, so meron yung interest income, dividends, etc. Okay, next paragraph. The net income per books should be reconciled with the provisions of the tax code, meaning items which are not taxable must be excluded and items which are not deductible are to be added back. So basically, ang goal natin for this problem, i-reconcile natin accounting income, convert natin to taxable income. Gets? Okay. Okay, requirement. Ayan, so assuming the total assets amounted to 110 million excluding land, solve the following. Doon pa lang, so yung total assets, more than 100 million siya. So, ibig sabihin, ang gagamitin natin is 25% na RC. Okay? Sige, so let's answer this. Start muna tayo with accounting income. Okay? So, number 1 natin, accounting income is, how much yan? 850,000. So, convert natin yan, class, into taxable income. Doon tayo sa interest income from bank deposit. Well, we know this is 20% final withholding tax. So, sulat mo sa gilid, 20% final withholding tax. Again, yung interest income na yan, class, for accounting purposes, syempre, nagre-reflect sa net income yan, tama? For tax purposes, taxable pa rin yan. Kaya lang, subject to final tax. Ang kino-compute natin is taxable income subject to RCIT. Okay? Regular corporate income tax. Alright? So, kahit taxable income yung interest income, tatanggalin natin yan. Kasi again, ulitin ko, ang hinahanap natin is taxable income na subject to RCIT. Okay? So, lalagay ko dito class interest income. So, since naka-reflect yan dito sa 850,000, minus natin yan. 5,500. Take note, yung interest income, if silent yung problem, gross of final withholding tax yan. Okay? So, hindi mo na kailangan i-gross up yan. 100% na yan. Okay? Next natin class is dividends from domestic corporation. We know kapag domestic to domestic, this is exempt. Okay? So, minus natin yan. Nandito yan sa 850. So, kailangan natin tanggalin yan. Minus 5,000. Let's go to gain from sale of unlisted shares. So we know this is subject to 15% capital gains tax. So sulat mo sa gilid, 15% CGT. Again, since subject na yan sa CGT, hindi yan subject sa RCIT. Kaya kailangan tanggalin natin yan. So minus natin yung 7,000. Next natin class is loss sustained from a family member. Ang rule natin, kapag yung loss mo, yung mga expenses mo, nag-result or nag-arise from related parties such as family members, hindi yan deductible. Okay? Pero syempre, for accounting purposes, deductible yan. Well, ang concern natin yan is tax purposes, therefore, yung 2,500 na yung class, we have to add back plus 2,500. Bad debts written off. So yung bad debts na yan, okay, ang entry natin sa accounting, debit, ADA, credit, AR. Tama? So hindi siya nag-reflect dito kasi walang expense. Pero for tax purposes, pag nag-write off ka, doon ka may deduction. Okay? So kaya for this one, ma-minus natin yung 6,500. Nag-gets nyo ba yan? Okay, so di ba, ang entry niyan, ADA, AR. So wala siya dito. Pero dapat nandyan yan. Kasi for tax purposes, deductible yan. Kaya nag-minus 6,500 tayo. Okay, next is provision for bad debts. Debit, bad debt expense, credit ADA, ibig sabihin, nandito yan. Tama, naka-reflect dito yan. Pero for tax purposes, pag provision, hindi pa yan deductible. So kaya kailangan class, i-add back natin yan, which is 8,000. So plus 8,000. Next natin is write-off of inventories. Okay, for tax purposes, walang ganyan. Okay, walang write-off doon or walang write-down ng inventory. So ibig sabihin class, yung 12,000 na yan, deductible for for accounting purposes, pero non-deductible for tax purposes, we have to add back 12,000. Next is depreciation. Okay, so for depreciation, nakalagay dyan on appraised value of property. Ibig sabihin, naka-revaluation model to, parang gano'n, okay? Ngayon, tandaan mo, for tax purposes, walang revaluation model. Laging cost model lang yan. So kaya for this one, yung depreciation na yan, deductible for accounting purposes, pero hindi siya deductible for tax purposes. Therefore, we have to add back 15,000. Alright? Surcharges, compromise, ngayon, yung mga ganyan, deductible for accounting purposes. Pero for tax purposes, non-deductible yan, okay? So, yung how much yan? 80,000, tama? 80,000, so add back natin, plus 80,000. Next. Okay, since yung tanong dun sa question number 1 is before charitable and other contributions, add back muna natin lahat, right? So, yung contribution natin, class, dalawa yan. Yung isa, yung first one is, okay, for public purpose, add back natin yan, 50,000. And then, yung isa naman na contribution for priority program. So, lagay ko na lang priority. Okay, this is 10,500. We know, class, na yung for public purpose, meron limit yan, okay? Yung priority program, yun yung keyword dito, yung priority, okay? Priority program, deductible in full yan, okay? Pero pareho yan, i-add back muna natin lahat kasi ang tanong sa atin, before contributions. Next natin class, how about yung quarterly payments? Actually, i-add back din muna natin yan. Because yung quarterly tax payments na yan, well, kinocompute natin yung annual, tama? So, dapat cumulative. Add back muna natin, mamaya natin tatanggalin yan, alright? And also, expense yan. So, before net income or taxable income, before contribution, add back muna natin yan. So, that is 65,000. Alright? Sige, so get your calculators. So, compute with me class, ha? So, meron tayong 850 minus 55, okay, minus 5,000, minus 7,000, plus 25, minus 65, plus 8,000, plus 12,000, plus 15, plus 80, plus 50, plus 10,500, plus 65,000. So, I get here 1,069,000. Class, ano yung 1,069,000? Tama ba ito yung taxable income before contributions? Tama. So, lagay ko dito, taxable income before contributions. Kaya answer natin, class, for question number 1 is 1,069,000. Letter A for question number 1. Okay, how much is the taxable income? Ngayon, pwede natin consider yung contribution. Doon muna tayo sa contribution na, okay, yung mayroong limit. Tama? Yung public purpose. Dito natin isolve yan. Okay, so yung limit natin, class, is ano nga ba yung limit? Is it 5% or 10%? Pag corporations, 5%. Pag individuals, 10%. Okay? Ano yung base mo, tax base, or yung limit? Yung income before contributions. Ito yung magiging limit mo. Okay? So, 1,069,000, multiply natin by 5%. Ilan yan? 1,069,000 times 0.05, you have 53,450. Okay? Ito yung limit. Yung actual natin is 50,000, syempre, whichever is lower. Laging lower. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung deductible natin, 50,000. Minus 50. Ngayon, yung contribution class na priority program, again, deductible in full yan. So, walang limit yan. So, yung 10,500, pwede natin i-deduct in full. Alright, so we will, after this, we get the taxable income, 1,069,000, minus 50,000, minus 10,500, you have 1,850,000. Sagot natin sa question number 2 is letter boy, 1,850,000 is your taxable income. So, ibabas ko yung mga final answers. Next, how much is the corporate income tax still due? Well, alam natin class na create yan, and then 25% yung tax rate natin, times 25%. Yung R-sheet natin dito class is 252,125. Okay, or tax due natin, 252,125. Kaya lang, ingat ka kasi ang sabi dyan, tax still due. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ima-minus natin yung binayaran na natin na quarterly tax payments, which is 65,000. So, 252,125 minus 65,000, how much yan? Minus 65, you have 187,125. 187,125, that is letter dog. Okay, ingat ka dun sa 252,125 kasi nasa choices yan. Letter A yan, okay? Pero ang tanong, still due, yung kulang pa, yung tax payable pa natin, 187,125, which is dog. Okay? Number 4, how much is the total final tax on income not subject to regular income tax? Okay, so ingat ka dito, class. Pag sinabing total final tax, nandyan yung final withholding tax on passive income and nandyan din yung capital gains tax. Okay, so ingat ka doon. So ang gagawin ko dito, meron tayong interest income, tama? Actually, in yung first item na given sa atin, 5,500. We know 20% yung final withholding tax yan. Times 0.2, we have 1,100. Okay, ano pa yung subject to capital gains tax naman? Yung gain from sale of unlisted shares, 7,000 times 15% na CGT. Okay? 1,050. Actually, yan lang yung dalawa. Okay, final withholding tax and CGT. So add natin 1,050 plus 11. Total natin is 2,150, letter boy. Okay, so ingat ka class ha, ulitin ko. Pag nakalagay sa problem, total final tax. Siyempre, kasama to, interest income. Kasi final withholding tax yan eh. Huwag mong kalimutan, kasama rin yan. Kasama din yung capital gains tax. Okay, kasi yung capital gains tax, final tax din yan. Okay, sir, bakit naging final tax yan? Kasi yung gain na yan, hindi yan pumunta dito. Okay, ibig sabihin, final tax na siya at this point pa lang. Alright? Sige. Sir, kailan namin hindi isasama yung gain? Pag nakalagay, final tax on passive income. Ito kasi passive income yun eh. Pero pag nakalagay, total final tax, kasama yung mga subject to CGT. Okay? Sige. Number 5, how much is the total tax expense? Okay, so dito, ingat ka rin. Ang gagamitin mo dyan, class, is this one. 252125. Hindi ito. Kulang to. Okay? Kasi yung 65,000 na binayaran mo sa quarterly payments, well, covered pa rin yan yung buong taon. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang ito. Dapat, this one plus 65,000 or yung tax due natin or yung RSET natin. So, lagay ko dito yung RSET, which is 252125. Okay? And then, add natin itong final tax, which is 2,150. Okay? 252,125 plus 2,150. Answer natin dito class is 254,275, which is letter A. 254,275. Okay? Kasi pag ito lang yung sinama mo, understated yan. Okay? Hindi mo na isama yung binayaran mo na ng quarterly tax payments. So yan, yung mga final answers natin. So ulitin ko, for question number 1 is letter A, question number 2 is boy, question number 3 dog, question number 4 boy, and question number 5 is A. Alright? Ganyan lang. Alright? Sige. Ayan. Let's go to problem number 2. Actually, similar problem yan. Huh? Problem number 2 is also about reconciliation. But this time, meron ng kasamang BIR forms. Okay? Very important class. In the actual board exam, dapat familiar ka sa BIR forms. Meron tayong separate session for tax filing, so make sure na napanood mo yun. Okay? And then sa mga pre-boards natin, nilalagay din tayo ng mga BIR forms. So, kaya again, dapat hindi ka na magulat pag may nag-appear na ganyan in the boards. Okay? Sige. So let's go to next problem. We have 4 questions for this problem. Okay, so nakalagay dyan, question number 6, compute page 4, schedule 5, item 4 of BIR form number 1702RT. Okay, so pag ganun, diretso ka na agad sa form. Usually, nasa same page yan or next page ng exam, okay? So tingnan natin ha, nasan ba yun? Page 4, and then schedule 5. Okay, schedule 5 and then item 4. Nakita mo dyan class nakalagay. Lagay ko dito ha. So yung number 6 natin, yung page 4, schedule 5, item 4, nakalagay sum of items 1 to 3. Okay, susulat mo na agad, sum of items 1 to 3. Ano yung items 1 to 3? Nakalagay dito class, net income or loss per books, yung item number 1. Okay, susulat ka na dyan. Item number 1 is net income or loss per books. And then, yung items 2 and 3, non-deductible expense or taxable other income. Okay, so add daw natin yung non-deductible expense or non-taxable. Okay? Taxable other income. Okay, so ayan yung sum. Yung sum niyan, yung sagot dun sa number 6. Ayan muna, kamaya na yung iba. Okay, so sige tingnan natin class. Abaca Corporation is a domestic corporation engaged in the business of manufacturing, clothing apparel, for fiscal year ending March 31, 2020. March 31, 2020, ibig sabihin train law. 30% yung gagamitin natin. Ingat ka sa boards. Hindi lahat sa boards create. Okay, kasi class, si BOA, medyo tamad maglinis ng database ng questions yan. Okay? So yung mga lumang questions na train law, nag-a-appear pa din yan in the board exam. Okay? So kaya sa G-sheets natin, meron tayong train versus create. Kaya alam mo pa rin dapat yung train law. Alright? Sige, so for this one, train law, ibig sabihin 30% yung R-sheet natin. Meron tayong sales, cost of goods sold, gross income, other income, total gross income, operating expense, finance expense, net income before tax, income tax expense, net income after tax. Alright. Okay, the following additional information was made available for tax reconciliation purposes. By the way, class, kung mapapansin mo yung Schedule 5, okay, di ba nakalagay dyan? Compute page 4, Schedule 5. Yung Schedule 5, yung title niyan is Reconciliation of Net Income per Books Against Taxable Income. Actually, requirement talaga yung reconciliation sa mga BIR forms. Okay? Ito, yung ginawa natin sa problem 1. Okay, nandun yan sa BIR form 1702, Schedule 5. Okay? So, ganoon din dito sa problem 2. Anyway, so na-mention ko lang. Analyze natin class. Number 1. The other income shows the following. Interest income from bank savings deposit, net of final withholding tax, 400,000. Okay, so yan daw yung kasama sa other income. Yung other income, pag pumunta ka sa taas, 10 million yung nakalagay. Tama? Sige, so naka-net daw siya ng 20% final withholding tax. Okay. Letter B, gain from sale of investment property. The property is held for lease but was not used in the primary activity of the corporation. Gross of withholding tax amounting to 1.8 million. Okay, so class, tanong ko sa inyo, anong klaseng asset yun? Investment property? Ordinary asset or capital asset? Well, sa una mong isipin class, kasi nakalagay dyan, not used in the primary activity of the corporation. So, isipin mo ba, sir, ba capital asset yan? Actually, class, ordinary asset yan. Bakit, sir? Kasi, yung, di ba, ni-lease out niya sa sa mga tenants, tama? So, the property is held for lease, okay? So, yung leasing, business activity pa rin yun. Okay? Business activity siya, so, kahit na hindi siya inline sa main line of business, okay? Kasi ang main line of business ni Abaca Corporation nakalagay sa first sentence, clothing apparel. So, kahit hindi siya inline sa main business ng company, okay? Yung leasing is a form of business activity pa rin. Okay? Therefore, ordinary asset yan. Okay? So, again, hindi necessary na inline siya sa business mo. So, pag nagpaparenta ka, ayun, sa business, okay? Ordinary asset yan. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, ordinary gain yung 8 million. Okay? So, 8 million na yan, mapupunta sa gross income natin. Okay? Rental income from investment property, 1.6 million. So, ayan, isa pa yan. So, rental income from investment property, 1.6 million, nakalagay gross of withholding tax. So, take note, nakagross pa sila. Okay, number 2, the withholding tax credit from sale of clothing materials supported by BR Form number 2307, 1.2 million. Plus, yung 2307, tandaan mo, sulat mo to, yan yung Certificate of Creditable Withholding Tax. Okay? Ibig sabihin, yung 1.2 na-remit na kay BIR yan. Unlike yung nasa taas, yung BNC, gross of withholding tax pa. So, assumption natin doon, hindi pa nare-remit kay BIR yan. Okay? Number 3, operating expenses include allowance for bad debts amounting to 1 million. So, alam natin, pag allowance pa lang, non-deductible yan. Number 4, during the year, corporation has written off bad debts. Pag nag-write off, yun pa lang yung deductible. Okay, 600,000. Finance expense is broken down as follows. Interest expense, various financial institutions, ayan, deductible yan. Pero yung interest expense from a majority stockholder, related party, non-deductible, right? Income tax expense represents quarterly income tax paid. Okay, now, ganito gagawin ko dyan. So, doon tayo sa number 6 again, sum of items 1 to 3. Yung first item natin is net income per books. Ingat ka dito, class. Doon sa BIR form na yan, yung net income per books na yan is before tax. Actually, nilagay na natin dito yan. Net income per books should refer to net income before tax. Ingat ka doon na, baka after tax yung gamitin mo. So, pag tumingin ka sa given sa taas, ang gagamitin mo dyan is the 50 million. Huwag mo gagamitin yung 41 million. Again, ulit-ulitin ko, net income before tax. So, 50 million, lagay ko dito. Okay. And then, tignan natin, class, alin ba yung mga non-deductible natin? Well, yung allowance for bad debts, non-deductible yan. So, lagay ko dito, class, yung allowance, ADA na lang, okay, or allowance for bad debts. Ayan. So, non-deductible siya. Ibig sabihin, add back natin yan. Okay, plus 1 million. And then, ano pa? How about yung interest expense na sa majority stockholder? Okay, so again, non-deductible yan. Kailangan natin i-add back, plus 4 million. Ibig sabihin, class, yung mag-a-appear dun sa Schedule 5 item 4 is the sum of the 3. Okay? Sum of items 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. 50 million. Plus 1 plus 4, you have 55 million. Answer natin, class, for question number 6 is 55 million. That is letter dog. Okay? Actually, simple lang, di ba? As long as naiintindihan mo yung BIR form, kaya-kaya natin i-apply. Let's go to number 7. Compute page 4, schedule 5, item 9. Page 4, schedule 5, item 9. So, nakita ko dito, class, nakalagay, total of sum of items 5 to 8. So, lagay ko na rito, sum of items 5 to 8. Ano ba yung 5 to 8 na yan, sir? Tingnan natin. 5 to 8, yan yung non-taxable income and income subjected to final tax. Okay. Non-taxable income and income subjected to final tax. And then may nakalagay special deductions. Okay, so tingnan natin. So ibig sabihin, ito naman yung mga ima-minus natin. Alright? Ano yung mga ima-minus natin? First, well, una ko nakita dito, yung interest income. Kasi nakalagay dyan, subjected to final tax. Okay? So, taxable income subjected to final tax. So ang gagamitin mo dito, class, nakita mo yung 400,000 dun sa letter A, sa taas, number 1, letter A, 400,000. Nakalagay subjected to final tax. Ibig sabihin, naka-net na dapat yan. It means, well, nakalagay dyan, net of 20% final withholding tax na, 400,000 yung ilalagay mo dito. Huwag mo na i-gross up, ha? Okay, nakalagay dyan, net subjected to final tax. Okay, so, lagay natin, 400,000. What else? How about yung ni-write off natin dito? Kasi yung ni-write off, for tax purposes, deductible yan. For accounting purposes, hindi yan deductible. Nasaan yan? That is 600,000. Ayun. 400 plus 600, 1 million. Answer natin dito, class, for question number 7 is dog, 1 million. Let's go to number 8. Okay, compute page 4, schedule 5, item 10. Nasaan yan? Page 4, schedule 5, item 10, nakalagay net taxable income. Okay, yung number 8. Paano gagawin natin dyan, sir? Well, ang gagawin ko lang dyan, meron akong 55 million. Tama? So, ito yung net income per books. In-add natin yung mga non-deductible and taxable. Tinanggal natin yung interest income and write-off. Ang gagawin ko lang dyan, 55 minus 1 million. Answer natin dito, class, is 54 million. Got it? Yan, 54 million. Alright, let's go to number 9. Compute page 2, item 55. Page 2 tayo. Okay, page 2, item 55. Okay. Ano nakalagay dyan, class? Total tax credits or payments. Ayan. Total tax credits or payments. Ano yung mga binayaran mo during the year? Tama ba, class? Dun sa number 6, nakalagay, income tax payments represents quarterly income tax paid. O, ayan. Maminus natin yan. Okay? So, quarterly tax, nasa yan? 4 million. Tama? Hindi pala. Quarterly tax paid, nasa taas, 9 million. Okay? Income tax expense, 9 million. Ano pa yung mga binayaran natin? Meron din tayong binayaran na creditable withholding tax. Nandun sa number 2. Nakalagay dyan, BIR form number 2307. Tama? Creditable withholding tax, that is 1.2 million. Okay, so nakalagay, supported by BIR form 2307. Ibig sabihin, properly na withhold yan kay BIR. Okay? Ngayon, yung nandun sa number 1, nakagross pa of withholding tax yun sa investment property, huwag mo muna yung minus yun. Okay? So, ang assumption natin doon, hindi pa nare-remit yun or na-withhold kay BIR. Okay? So, sagot natin dito, class, 9 million plus 1.2 million. Answer natin is 10.2 million, which is letter C. Okay? So, ayan. That's for problem number 2. Okay? Easy. Actually, pag di ka sanay sa class sa ganitong long problems and BIR forms, talaga magugulat ka sa board exam. Okay? Pag may lumabas sa ganyan. Pero sa inyo, syempre, hindi na easy na sa yan. Alright, sige. So that is for problem number 2. Let's go to the next problem. Okay, ito, mahaba-haba ulit. So isang buong page yung problem na to, number 3. This is about, ano ba yung problem na yan? Ganda, taxable income. Okay, number 10. Number 11, corporate income tax due. Number 12, capital gains tax. Number 13, final withholding tax on passive income. Number 14, and total income tax expense for the year. Okay. Sige, so basahin natin yung given. Okay, Romel, together with Jay, Lester, Jason, and Rain, started a corporation which they named Big Bros. Ayan, so Big Bros. A firm which is engaged in manufacturing of cements. They were able to register with SEC and BIR last January 5, 2018. Okay, so pag binigyan ka ng registration ng ganyan, una mo may isip, yung MSIT. Okay, tama? Plus 4 years. So kung 2018 yan, ibig sabihin, magiging subject to MSIT plus 4, January 5, 2022 or 2022. Lagay mo dyan. Doon pala magiging subject to MSIT. Okay, before the surge of the COVID-19 pandemic, the entity started its operation immediately after the registration. During the taxable year, okay, you're engaged by Big Bros to prepare the income tax return in compliance with the code. Big Bros has the following data which were taken from its annual income statement. Okay, so analyze natin class yung given. Merong gross sales, net sales, cost of sales, meron tayong gross income, we have operating expenses, isa-isa natin yung operating expenses, salaries, wages, depreciation, rental, entertainment, o yung year, okay? With limit yan. Ano yung limit nito, class? Tingnan natin. So this is, nagbebenta sila ng cements, tama? So ibig sabihin, sale of goods, okay? So ang limit natin, 0.5%, tama? Pag sale of services, 1%, right? So sige, 0.5%. R&D expense, budget expense, impairment loss, and estimated warranty expense. Yung last 3 items na yun, budget expense, impairment loss, estimated warranty, non-deductible yan. Okay? So sulat mo yun, non-deductible. Okay, so we have operating income, we have non-operating income or other income, gain on sale of shares directly to buyer. Pag sinabing directly to buyer, unlisted shares yan, okay? Hindi yan traded, okay? Pag directly to buyer. Ibig sabihin, subject to 15% CGT. Gain on sale of debt securities classified as FVPL. Okay, for this one, hindi siya subject to capital gains tax, okay? Pero mag-form part siya of your gross income. Gain on sale of real property. Oh, we know, 6% CGT. Sulat mo dyan, 6% CGT. Dividend income from domestic corporation, exempt. Dividend income from resident foreign corporation, depende. Tingnan natin, baka may iba pang given later. Interest income from local currency bank deposit, 20% final withholding tax. Interest income from trade receivables, ordinary income yan, papasok sa gross income. Non-operating expenses, interest expense. Oh, we know, pag interest expense, may given sa'yo. May given din sa'yong interest income, ibig sabihin class, subject to limit yan. Later, computin natin. Charitable contribution, ayan. So, may limit din to. Since corporation yan, ang limit natin is 5%. 5% of taxable income before contributions. Okay, income tax expense. Ayan, daming given. Alright, additional notes. Bullet number 1, the entity elected to use accrual method of accounting. Actually, cash method, accrual method, acceptable kay BIR yan. Okay? Bullet number 2, the entity uses allowance for doubtful accounts. Number 3, the record shows that real property with a book value of 6 million was sold for 10,050,000. So selling price is 10,050,000. However, upon careful examination, the fair market value, okay, determined by the city assessor and the zonal value, 12 million and 9 million respectively. The said real property is not used in business. Ibig sabihin, capital asset siya. Tama? Now, ang magiging basis natin, selling price or fair market value, whichever is higher, so ano yung pinakamatataas dyan? Is it 10 point? Meron tayong selling price at 10,050,000. Meron tayong fair market value 12 million, may zonal value na 9 million. Siyempre, pipiliin natin is na 12 million. Computein natin class, 12 million times 6%, lagay mo dyan. CGT natin, capital gains tax, 720,000. Sulat mo na yan, ha? Okay, it was also determined that the requisites for exemption from foreign source dividends under Section 27D have been met. Yun yung dividend income from resident foreign corporation na nasa taas. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, foreign source dividends, na-meet niya yung, I think, 5 yata yung 5 criteria yata yun, no, for exemption. So, na-meet niya, ibig sabihin, exempt yun. Okay? Yung dividend income na 1,250,000, exempt. Okay, upon inspection of the books, one record shows that entertainment and representation expenses are duly supported by receipts and are business connected. So, ibig sabihin lang, deductible yung entertainment and representation expenses. Pero syempre, subject to limit. Okay, so yun muna. So, in-analyze muna natin yung given and then, tignan ulit natin class yung mga questions. Taxable income for the year, corporate income tax due, capital gains tax, final withholding tax on passive income, and total income tax expense. Okay, sige, so ganito gagawin ko dyan. Tingin ako dun sa income statement na binigay sa problem. Well, may nakalagay dyan na gross income. So, ikakopy ko na agad yung gross income, 82.5 million. Okay, 82.5 million. Alright, and then, isa-isahin natin yung mga expenses for the allowable deductions. We have salaries expense. Salaries, wala namang problema yan. Wala naman tayong limit, okay, for deductions sa salaries. As long as business-related, deductible yan. 5.5 million. Okay, wages expense. How much? 7.4 million. And then, we have depreciation. For depreciation, as long as reasonable, okay yan, 10.5 million. Let's go to rental expense, 15 million. Deductible din yan. Okay, entertainment, year. Okay, and representation expenses. Again, ang limit natin dito, 0.5% of net sales. Plus, dun sa given, nakita nyo dun sa taas, yung 147,200,000. Okay, that is your basis. Okay, so tingnan natin, how much yung limit ng year natin. Actually, dito natin computin. Yung actual natin is 750,000. Tama? Ngayon, yung limit natin, okay, so computin natin class, 147.2 million, multiply natin by 0.5%, 736,000 yung limit. Okay? 736,000. So again, yung 736,000, ang ginawa ko lang, 147.2 million, which is the net sales. Hindi gross sales, ha? Net sales times 0.5%. Again, pag deductions, laging whichever is lower. So therefore, 736,000 yung minus natin dyan. Okay? Next. After year, meron tayong R&D expenses, deductible din yan. How much? 3.5 million. Okay, again, yung bad debt expense, impairment loss, estimated warranty expense, non-deductible yan. Okay, so, mako-compute natin yung ordinary income. Okay, mamaya na yung other income. Compute muna natin yan. 82.5 million minus 5.5, minus 7.4 million, minus 10.5 million, minus 15, minus 736,000, minus, ulit, 736, minus 3.5 million. Nakuha ko dito, class, 39,864,000. 39,864,000. Okay. And then, consider natin yung other income. Okay, other income natin. Okay, so syempre yung subject to CGT, wag mo na isasama yan. Okay, kasi, again, yung subject lang to RC. Yung gain sa FBPL natin, which is 1,550,000, ayan, papasok yan sa'yo sa other income natin or sa gross income natin. Next is, how about yung interest income, okay, from receivables, 750,000. Siyempre kasama yan, plus 750,000. Alright, and then next natin class, yung interest expense. So again, subject to, ano yan, meron tayong non-deductible expense. So interest expense, dito ko compute na, 3.5 million, ito yung total interest expense natin, minus 20% of interest income. How much yung interest income natin? 750,000, tama? Times 20%. So how much makuha mo dyan? 20%. 750,000 times 0.2, this is 150,000. Yan yung non-deductible interest expense, okay? So 3.5 million minus 150,000, yung deductible natin is, wait lang, ano mangyari dyan? 3.5 million, ang interest income pala natin is 1,920,000. So ulitin ko, yung 750 is the trade receivables. Ang gagamitin mo class, yung subject to, yung sa interest income sa bank deposit. 1,920,000 times 20%. Ulit, 1,920 times 0.2, this is 384,000. Okay, 3.5 million minus 384,000, 3,116,000. Yun yung deductible interest expense. Okay. After this, we will get our taxable income before contributions. Okay, before contributions. Tumuna tayo, 39,864,000, 39,864,000, plus 1,550, plus 750, minus 3,116,000, you will get 39,048,000. So make sure na nakuha nyo ito class, 39,048,000, ito yung taxable income or net income before contributions. Okay. Now, consider natin yung contributions. Okay, contributions natin, compute natin. Meron tayong actual, which is, how much yung class? Yung actual contribution natin is 5 million. Yung limit natin is Well, corporation siya, so 5%. 5% of 39,048,000 times 0.05. 1952. Okay, double check ko lang ha. So 1952,400. 1952,400. Ulitin ko class, yung limit natin is income before contribution, 39,048,000, 5% because corporations. Pag individuals, 10%. Right? So again, whichever is lower, so 1952,400. 1952,400. Okay. So next is, we get the taxable income, 39,048 minus 1952,400, 37,095,600. Multiply natin by the tax rate. Ano ba to? Train or create? Well, 2021 yung nakalagay, so create na yan. Times 25%. Times 25%. You get 9,273,900. 9,273,900. So ito yung tax due natin. Alright, so tingnan natin class, yung mga questions. Question number 10, taxable income for the year. Ito class dapat yung sagot mo. 37,095,600, letter C. Huwag mo nga sagot ha. Kasi before contributions yan. Dapat after contribution. So taxable income mo, 37,095,600, letter C. Corporate income tax due, 9,273,900, letter A. Capital gains tax. O, tingnan natin. CGT, ano ba yung mga subject to CGT? I think dalawa. Yung shares. Okay, meron tayong gain dyan, na gain on sale of shares directly to buyer, 1,280,000 times 15% times 0.15, 192,000. Okay, and then kanina, yung sale of real property, na-compute na natin. Nasa bullet number 3, 720,000 yung CGT natin dyan. Okay, 192,000 plus 720,000. Answer natin yung class. Total is 912,000. Letter C. Okay. Number 13, final withholding tax on passive income. Okay, yun yung interest income natin. Actually, na-compute na natin kanina yan. Ito siya. Kasi interest income mo is 1,920,000. Okay, ano ba yung final withholding tax nun? 20%. 1,920,000 times 20% is 384,000. That is letter boy. Okay? Class, ingat ka. Nakalagay dyan, final withholding tax on passive income. Okay? Hindi mo isasama yung CGT. Okay? So, in comparison dun sa yung problem 1 yata or problem 2, nakalagay dun, total final tax. Pag total final tax, kasama yung CGT. Okay? Kasi, technically, hindi naman passive income yung share sa real property kasi binenta mo talaga yan. That's ba? So, dito, passive income yan. Okay? Interest income. Okay, so boy for number 13. Let's go to number 14. Total income tax expense for the year. So, sama-sama lang natin. Ito yung R-sheet mo. Okay, so meron kang R-sheet, which is 9,273,900. Meron tayong CGT, which is 912,000. Meron tayong final withholding tax na 384,000. Sige nga class, add natin yung tatlo na yan. 9,273,900 plus 912,000 plus 384,000. Answer natin, 10,569,900. Total income tax expense, 10,569,900. Letter C for number 14. Okay, recap natin yung final answers. For question number 10, C. Question 11 is A. Question 12 is C. Question 13 is boy. And question 14, C. Okay? So, ayan. This for problem number 3. Di ba? Di mo mahirap. Kaya-kaya nyo yan sa boards. Yung iba kasi class, nagpapanik. Okay? Nakita, bago yung bagong format ng problem. Hindi namin na-encounter sa review to. Pero actually, apply mo pa rin yung basic concepts. Basic principles na natutunan natin sa tax. Makukuha mo pa rin yung sagot. Okay? Pero syempre, if talagang nahihirapan ka kunin yung sagot, for example, binigay sa'yo yung problem 3, ganito kahaba, 10 page yung given. Ang gagawin ko doon, skip ko muna. Okay? Doon muna ako sa mga short problems. So, katulad nung advice ni Attorney Jay, pwede mong gawin is, unahin mo muna lahat ng short problems. Okay? Scan mo muna yung exam. Unahin mo lahat ng theories and mga short problems. Okay? And then, pag nasagutan mo lahat, saka mo sagutan yung long problems and yung mga situational. Okay? Sige. So, let's go to next problem natin. Problem number 4. Alright. Problem number 4, this is actually tax audit to. Okay? So, basically, i-audit natin si client natin. Alright. Tignan natin. Okay. Tignan mo natin yung questions. Question 15, how much should be reflected in page 2, part 4, item number 29, BIR form 1702. So, tignan natin yung BIR form 1702, page 2. Okay, so lagay mo na dyan agad class. Anong item? 29. Net sales, receipts, revenues, and fees. Okay, yun yung item 29. So, lagay natin yan. So, number 15, ang pinapahanap sa atin, net sales, okay, receipts, or revenues. Yan yung pinapahanap sa atin. Sulat mo na agad pag ganyan sa exam. Okay? Pag minention na sa'yo, item number ganyan, sulat mo na agad para hindi mo makalimutan. Right? Sige, mamaya na ibang items. Tingnan mo natin yung given. Okay, in the course of your examination as a revenue officer, of the audited FS of ABC Corp, which sells and leases real estate. So, nagbebenta ka and nagpapalease. Tama ba? Pag nagbebenta ka ng real estate, sale of goods yun. Okay? Pag nagpapalease ka, sale of services. So magkasama, may sale of goods, sale of services. And by virtue of letter of authority duly issued by the BIR, the income statement of ABC on its first year of operations, meron tayong revenues, gain on sale of residential lots, bank interest income, lagay mo na dyan yung interest income, 20% final withholding tax, dividend income from XYZ, and rental income. Meron tayong expenses, salaries, depreciation, year, syempre may limit lagi yung year, office supplies, advertising, interest expense, meron ding non-deductible portion yan, taxes and licenses. Okay, income before tax and income after, or tax expense, income after tax, 270,370. So yung na-compute ni client, 616,250. Okay? Hindi pala client, yung na-compute ni taxpayer. Okay? Yun yung i-audit natin. 616,250. The income tax due for the year is computed as follows. Ito yung paano nyo compute yung 616,250. Income before tax, less interest, bank interest income, dividends, gain, times 25% income tax expense. So obviously, pag binigyan kang ganyan, parang sa audit lang yan. Siyempre, mali na agad yung ginawa ni taxpayer dito. So, compute natin kung ano yung tamang income tax. Okay? Sige, so analyze natin class yung additional information. During examination, you observe the following. Number 1, the balance sheet for the taxable year showed deferred rent income, 600,000. The payer has properly withheld the appropriate withholding tax. Okay, so ano ba yung deferred rental income? Iyan yung unearned rent income. Binayaran ka na, pero hindi mo pa na-provide yung rent. Okay? Ngayon, sa accounting, deferred yan. Tama? Liability. Pero sa tax purposes, tandaan mo, natutunan natin sa gross income, basta na-receive mo, kahit advance payment yan. Okay? Considered na siya as taxable income na yan. Okay? Magpo-form part as gross income na yan. Okay, the bank interest income is net of 20% final withholding tax. How much ba yung interest income natin? Tingin ka sa taas, sa second item, 40,000. Nakalagay dyan, net daw. Tama? XYZ Corporation is a domestic corporation. So, ibig sabihin, yung dividend from XYZ Corporation is exempt. Okay, the gain on sale of residential lots represents gain on sale of 2 residential lots with selling price of 1.6 million each. Kung 1.6 million, dalawa yung binenta, times 2, lagay mo dyan, yung gross sales natin, 3.2 million. Okay? Lagay mo dyan. So, 1.6 million times 2, gross sales, 3.2 million. Or yun din yung selling price. Okay? Interest expense includes interest on late payment of tax amounting to 10,000. Okay. Ingat ka dito, class, ha? Okay, so take note of this. Yung surcharges and penalties sa late filing, hindi yung deductible. Okay? Non-deductible yun. Pero yung interest on late payment, deductible yun. Okay, so ingat ka doon, ha? Nakalagay dyan, interest expense includes interest on late payment. Deductible yan. Ang hindi deductible, surcharges and penalties on late payment. Okay? Here are duly supported by receipts and are business connected. Taxes and licenses in the notes to FS show the following. Doc stamp tax, surcharge and penalties. So ayan, yun yung hindi deductible. Withholding tax and permits and licenses. Total assets excluding land, 110 million. So sumobra na 100 million, 25% RC yung gagamitin natin. Marami ding given, pero kayang-kaya natin yung class. So ulitin ko dun sa question number 15, nakalagay dyan. Okay, how much daw yung net sales and receipts? Okay, so tingnan natin class. Meron tayong sale of real estate, tama? Sale of real estate. And then actually, na-compute natin kanina kung magkano yan. Tama ba yan yung nasa additional information number 4, 1.6 million times 2. Nabenta natin talaga is 3.2 million. Okay? And then, next natin is, meron din tayong kasi nagli-lease out siya, nagpaparenta siya, tama? So meron din tayong rental revenues. Rental revenues. So yung sale of real estate, yan yung sale of goods. Yung rental revenues, yan yung sale of services. Okay? So nakalagay dyan class, dun sa taas, rental income, 4.2 million. Okay? Pero pag pumunta ka dun sa additional information number 1, meron kang deferred rent income na 600. Okay? Again, for tax purposes, pag na-receive mo na yung cash, advance payment ng rent, taxable na yan. So ang gagamitin natin, 4.2 million plus 600,000. That is 4.8 million. Ingat ka dun, ha? So isasama mo na yung advance, yung rent, advance rent. 3.2 million plus 4.8, total natin is 8 million. Okay, so 8 million, ito yung, actually, inisagot natin. Letter C for number 15. Okay? Number 16. How much should be reflected? Page 3, part 6, item 15. Okay, so dapat mabilis ka tumingin sa BR form. Page 3, part 6. Nasaan yung part 6? Okay, part 6. And then, item 15. Ano nalagay dyan, class? Taxes and licenses. Okay, taxes and licenses. Ngayon, tingin ka dun sa additional information number 7. Taxes and licenses in the notes to FS showed the following. Take note, class. Yung makikita mo lang dapat sa taxes and licenses, yung mga allowable deductions. Okay, isa-isay natin. Yung DST, kasama ba yan? Yes. DST, this is 60,000. Yung surcharges and penalties, again, hindi siya deductible. Kasabi ko lang kanina. Yung withholding tax, hindi siya allowable deductions. Yung withholding tax, di ba, minus mo yan sa dulo. Okay, and then permits and licenses, yan, kasama yan. Permits and licenses, 30,000. 60,000 plus 30,000, answer natin dito class is 90,000, letter A for number 16. Let's go to number 17. How much should be reflected in page 3? Nasaan yung page 3? Part 4. Ay, part 6 pala. Part 6, item 6. Entertainment, amusement, and recreation, or EAR. Okay, so tingnan natin. Again, ang complication dito, meron sale of goods, meron sale of services. So, paano natin kukumputin yung EAR? Doon muna tayo sa sale of goods. Sales muna. Goods, lagay ko dito. Okay? And then, tingnan natin yung actual versus the limit. And then, mamaya yung services naman. So, actual muna. Yung EAR dito, class, how much siya? Naka-total siya actually, 45,000. Tama ba? So, 45,000. Paano natin malaman yung actual? Ang gagawin ko, ipoprorate ko yan. Tama? Dito, based on this. So, kung 45,000 yung actual, yung total EAR, 45,000 times 3.2 divided by 8. So, 45,000 times 3.2 divided by 8. Yung actual natin is 18,000. Okay? So, ulitin ko, 45,000 times 3.2 million over 8 million, 18,000. That's your actual. Yung limit natin is, ilang percent to? Pag sale of goods, 0.5%. So, 3.2 million times 0.005, 16,000. Okay? So again, whichever is lower, therefore, 16,000 yung sale of goods natin. Okay? Doon naman tayo sa services, basically yung rent. Okay? How much is yung actual and how much yung limit? 45,000 times 4.8 million divided by 8 million times 4.5 divided by 8, you get 2.5. Ulitin ko. So 45,000 times 4.8 divided by 8, nakuha ko dito class, 27,000. Yung limit natin is 1%. Pag sale of services, 1% ha? Okay. Sale of goods, 0.5%. So 1%. 4.8 million times 1%, it's 48,000. Okay, so again, whichever is lower, therefore, 27,000. So add natin, 16,000 plus 27,000. Answer natin dito class is 43,000. Letter A. For number 17, it's letter A. Okay. Number 19, or number 18, how much is the basic deficiency? Pag sinabing deficiency, yun yung difference ng ni-report ni taxpayer and kung ano yung correct na tax due, okay? Yun yung deficiency. So therefore, computin natin class yung tamang tax. Let's go to number 18. Start muna tayo sa net sales and revenues natin. Na-compute natin yan, which is, that is 8 million, tama? So 8 million. Okay, now, net sales, so ibig sabihin, nagbenta tayo ng real estate. Dapat may cost of sales yan. Okay, so kung pupunta ka sa additional information number 4, punta ka doon ha? Additional information number 4, tama ba? Na-compute natin earlier, selling price sa 1.6 million times 2, okay? 3.2 million, ito siya. Ngayon, class, nakalagay dyan, dun sa, merong gain. Tama ba? Dun sa unang-unang given, sa taas. First item, gain on sale of residential at 750,000. Okay, tama ba, class? Pag meron kang gain, so selling price minus cost, ito yung gain mo. Okay? So, kung 3.2 million to, and then yung gain mo is 750,000, ibig sabihin, yung cost natin is yung difference sila. 3.2 minus 750, 2,450,000. Tama ba? 2,450,000. So, yun yung cost natin. Gets? So, nalagay ko dito. Cost of sales natin, 2,450,000. Okay, so nag-work back tayo to get the cost of sales. Alright, next natin, isa-isa natin class yung expenses. Yung isa, yung interest income, final withholding tax, yung dividend, exempt, yung rental, nandito na siya. Okay, dito tayo sa expense. Allowable deductions natin, salaries and wages, walang problema, 750,000. Next natin is depreciation. Natin is 400,000. Okay, next is, ano na? EAR. Na-compute natin yung EAR, 43,000. Office supplies. Okay, how much? In the problem, it's 110,000. Advertising. Advertising natin is 60,000. And then, next, advertising, interest expense. So, ingat kasi interest expense. Laging merong non-deductible component yan pag may interest income sa given. Okay, so, compute natin class. Interest expense natin, dito natin computein ha. Okay, interest expense natin is 40,000. Tama? Tama ba? 40,000? Ah, hindi pala. 120,000. Interest expense, 120. Minus yung non-deductible interest expense, which is 20% of interest income. How much yung interest income natin dito, class? 40,000, tama? Kaya lang nakalagay dyan, dun sa additional information number 2, naka-net daw yan of 20% final withholding tax. Kailangan mo pa i-gross up. So, ang gagawin ko dyan, 120,000 minus, go-gross up ko yung interest income, 40,000, i-divide ko muna by 80%, saka ko multiply by 20%. Alright? So, tingnan natin. 40,000 divided by 0.8 times 0.2, this is 10,000. Yan yung non-deductible interest expense. 120 minus 10, therefore, yung interest expense natin, the deductible is 110,000. Alright? Next is taxes and licenses. Na-compute na natin earlier, ito siya. So, number 16, 90,000. So, minus 90,000. Okay. Next natin class is, yun na, yung net taxable income natin. Let's compute. 8 million. minus 2450,000, minus 750, minus 400, minus 43,000, minus 110, minus 60, minus 110, minus 90. Answer, 3,987,000. 3,987,000. Okay? And then, multiply natin by 25%. Alright? Kasi 25% yung ginamit sa problem eh. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, create na to. Tama? So, times 25%, yung tax due is 996,750. 996,750. Ito yung talaga dapat binayaran ni taxpayer. Pero ang nireport lang niya is 616,250. Okay? As reported by the taxpayer, 616,250. Okay? Difference niya, minus 616,250, 380,500. 380,500. Okay. Yun yung difference. Deficiency tax. Pero take note class ha. Since talagay dun sa additional information number 1, the payer has properly withheld the appropriate withholding tax on rentals. Ibig sabihin, ang nakalagay kasi dito, basic deficiency tax is still due. Yung kailangan pang bayaran ni taxpayer. Ima-minus mo pa dyan yung creditable withholding tax sa renta. Okay? Hindi ito yung babayaran na total pa ni taxpayer. Ma-minus mo pa yung CWT kasi nabayad na yan kay BIR. How much yun? Well, meron tayong rental dito na 4.8 million and we know 5% ang gagawin, 5%, that is, yung CWT ng rent is 5%, tama? So, 4.8 million times 5% na withhold na yung 240,000. So, minus 240,000, yung basic deficiency tax still due is the difference. 380,500 minus 240, 140,500. Okay? Ito yung still due natin. Therefore, answer natin class for number 18 is dog. Okay? Dog. Okay, recap ko yung final answers. Number 15, C. Number 16, A. Number 17, A. Number 18 is dog. Take note class na yung interest expense, dun ka sa additional information number 5. Interest expense includes interest on late payment. Sabi ko, deductible to, tama? Hindi mo na siya tinanggal dito. Okay? Kasi class, ang total interest expense yan. Ima-minus mo yung, okay, so total interest expense minus yung interest income on bank deposit times 20%. Alright? Ganun siya. Huwag mo tatanggalin yung 10,000 dito. Alright? So, sa additional information 5, wala na tayong ginawa dyan. Okay? Sige. So, ayan. Yung mga answers natin for this problem. Okay, so before we continue, let's have a short break.